What's going on, everybody? It's Jay here from Nerd Takes, and today I wanted to give you my take on Secret Level. So, Secret Level is a new show from Amazon, which is an animated anthology series that tells stories from multiple different worlds of video game franchises, and in some cases, tabletop games as well. Now, this was something that I've had my eye on since I first heard about it because the concept itself seemed really interesting to me. And once we started hearing about which games would be involved in the series, I was even more interested because, to be honest with you, there were only a few games on the list that I had actually played myself. So while I was excited to see what they would do with those games, I was curious if the episodes based on games I hadn't played yet would be something that would get me more interested in those franchises. And now that the show's been released and I finally got the chance to watch it, I can say that I have definitely found a new interest in some of those franchises. I really like this series. There's honestly a lot to like, even in the episodes based off games I'm unfamiliar with. For starters, let me just say that the episodes that were based off games I've actually played were Sifu, Pac Man, and Mega Man. The rest were all franchises that I'm aware of, but not necessarily familiar with. And surprisingly enough, it was episodes based off franchises that I haven't known much about that were some of my favorite. One of the main things that made it so easy to enjoy the episodes, even if I didn't know much about them, was that there was a consistent high level of quality in some of the fundamental aspects that was nice to see throughout the entire series. And what I mean by that is things like the animation style, sound design, music, voice acting, writing, all of it was really well done. And speaking of animation, I really liked the look of the series. It was very much like watching the cinematics of video games themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, some episodes looked a little bit better than others, but overall, there was a really cool look to the show that really felt like it fit the vibe of a video game based series. I also felt like the action in the episodes stood out to me. It was all very well designed, it had me engaged throughout each different story, and it felt like a video game experience. It was gritty and at times a bit gruesome, but the action always seemed to match the tone of the episode that it belonged to. Now, in terms of writing, it's pretty well written. They aren't super complicated stories, but they're told in a way that works well and keeps you interested even if you don't know the franchise or its lore. And honestly, some episodes are really well written. They get across a very good story in a short amount of time. And the music actually stood out in quite a few episodes. Again, in some episodes more than others, and much like the action, the music really matched the tone of the stories being told. I would say that my favorite episodes were probably the Warhammer episode as well as the Unreal Tournament episode. Now, keep in mind, I know literally nothing about the lore of either of those two things, so I have no idea exactly how accurate they were to them, but as far as my enjoyment watching them, those were easily my top two. And my least favorite was probably the New World episode. It wasn't awful or anything, it was just very different from the rest. It seemed like the comedic relief episode in a bunch of much darker and grittier episodes, which wasn't a bad thing, it just wasn't my favorite. And then there was one episode that was more of an ad for PlayStation than it was a story, which felt pretty out of place with the rest of the series. But overall, I really enjoyed this series. I'm excited for season 2, which was just recently announced. And honestly, I may even break down some of these episodes in their own reviews just because I enjoyed them that much. This is definitely a recommend for me, and I hope that season 2 is more of the same. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll be back again with another review soon.